Hello everyone. In Spiral 3, our personal finance topic is about vehicles. So we're going to, in this lesson, talk about obtaining a vehicle, and in the next lesson, we'll talk about operating a vehicle. And then we'll finish off with a car assignment. So when you're getting a vehicle, you can either buy a new vehicle, you can lease a new vehicle, or you can buy a used vehicle. So we're going to look at all three options today, and I'm going to read quite a bit so you get an idea of the pros and cons of each, but feel free to do your own research as well. So we'll start off by buying a new vehicle. Buying a new car is very expensive. Furthermore, the car depreciates quickly in value and eventually becomes worthless. This makes buying a car a bad financial investment. This is different than purchasing property, which is also very expensive, but usually appreciates in value and can be sold for more money in the future. Dealerships often offer low interest or no interest loans to finance the car. These no interest loans are sometimes not really no interest because the dealership offers a better price on the car if it's purchased with cash, i.e. not financed. Dealerships don't make a lot of money off the sale of new cars, and as a result, there isn't a lot of room to negotiate a better price. The dealership makes much of their money off the service they hope to get from you after buying the car. Owning a new car is nice, convenient, and luxurious. However, it's an expensive way of obtaining a car. And I know you're thinking, but I want to get a nice truck, put some nice rims on it, put some stacks on it or something like that. You're putting a lot of money into the vehicle, but you're not going to get that money back. You're not going to be able to sell the vehicle for more than what you paid for it, more than likely. So don't ever think of buying a vehicle as an investment. It's not going to grow your money. So let's practice some calculations dealing with this. A local dealership is selling a new car for $20,000. The dealership offers financing at 3.25% annual interest, compounded monthly. You have $2,000 saved for a down payment. You will finance the rest. So this is a typical situation. You probably won't have $20,000 in cash to pay for this car, so you're probably going to get a loan or you're going to finance it through the dealership. They're going to charge you interest and they're going to compound the interest, and you're going to make monthly payments. So before we get too far into this question, I want to skip ahead a little bit and show you. This is the time value of money calculator, or TVM solver, that we used back in Spiral 2. We're going to use the same thing eventually, so you might want to just pause the video and make sure you can get this. There's the address there, or if you have one of those QR code readers, I've got the QR code right there. You can also Google TVM solver, and this should be one of the first results. Anyway, back in question A, determine the cost of the car with taxes. So just like most purchases, you have to pay HST, the sales tax, on this purchase. So it's $20,000 plus tax. HST is 13% of the sale price. So to calculate the cost after taxes, we're going to multiply the cost by 1.13. This will give us 13% more than the $20,000. So if you do that in your calculator, you get $22,600 as the total cost after taxes. So next question, how much money will you have to borrow? Well, let's go back up and read. You have $2,000 saved for a down payment. So before you get the car, you're paying $2,000. So how much is left over? That's the amount you're going to have to borrow. So if we take our final price and subtract the down payment, $20,600 is what's left over, and that's the amount you're going to borrow or finance. Determine your monthly payment if you finance the loan over 4 years. So this is where we're going to use this TVM solver. The present value is the amount that you're borrowing. The annual rate is the percent, 3.25%. So you just type 3.25 in here. Periods, well, that's how many periods there are. So if it's compounded monthly, which we have here, periods would be the number of months. Well, it's 4 years, 12 months in each year. So that's 48 months. We would type 48 months in here. And we're looking for the monthly payment. So here's the payment box. Right now it's blank because we don't know what it is. So we're going to click the payment button. So why don't you try that, see what you get, and hopefully you've typed the values in correctly and you get the answer. So when you do this, you're going to end up seeing a negative value in here. That just means you're losing the money, you're paying it. So every month you're paying $458.25. So that's the monthly payment. So what is the total amount paid for the car? Well, don't forget, you paid a $2,000 down payment and you're paying $458.25 every month for 48 months. So when we add all that together, we get $23,996. That's the total amount paid for the car. So the price on the windshield said $20,000. We ended up paying $23,996. So what is the total interest paid? Well, remember, the interest is just paid on the loan. The loan was for $20,600. So the interest is going to be whatever was extra paid on top of this amount. So the down payment is not included in the interest because we paid that before we borrowed the money. So to calculate the total interest, it's going to be the total of all our monthly payments minus the amount borrowed. Well, the total monthly payments is just our monthly payment multiplied by the number of months. The amount borrowed was $20,600. So when I do the calculation, it ends up being $1,396 in interest. Now we'll switch gears, as it were, and we'll talk about leasing a vehicle. Leasing a vehicle is like renting a car for a set period of time. You drive the car, but you do not own it. When the lease is over, you must give the car back. However, there are options to buy the car at the end. Your rental fee includes the depreciation of the vehicle. For example, if the vehicle depreciates by $10,000 over the lease, then you must pay that. The interest charged on borrowing the residual value of the vehicle. For example, if the vehicle is worth $15,000 when you give it back, then you pay interest on that loan. And there's other fees included, depends on who's giving the lease. In the long run, continually leasing new vehicles is more expensive than continually buying and selling new cars, and significantly more expensive than buying a new car and owning it until it dies. It seems cheap because the monthly payment is smaller, but it's not cheap because the monthly payment never stops and you own nothing. The advantage is that you get to be in a new car all of the time and don't have to deal with the hassles of selling or repairing an older car. So let's ask a question. To lease a new car selling for $20,000, a customer agrees to pay a $2,000 down payment and to make 48 monthly payments of $300. Calculate the total cost of the lease. Compare this with question 1. So to calculate the total cost of the lease, we have to take the down payment, which is $2,000, and add the total monthly payments. So we're paying $300 for 48 months. And that ends up being $16,400. So for the same car, when it was bought new, in question 1, we paid nearly $24,000. Here, we're only paying $16,400. So this is much less money than buying the car new. However, we don't own the car, we have to give the car back. So there's pros and cons to leasing. And this brings us to our last option for getting a vehicle. This is buying a used vehicle. A used car will cost much less than purchasing or leasing a new model of the same car. Used cars can be a hassle as they require repairs and maintenance. However, even with those costs included, it's the cheapest option by far. When dealerships sell used cars, the margins are often larger than the margins on new cars, so there is usually a lot more room to negotiate a better price. The dealerships need those larger margins on used cars because it is less likely that they will make money off servicing those vehicles. People tend to take used cars to other garages to get them serviced and repaired. Used car loans usually have shorter payback periods than loans for new cars, and the interest rates are usually higher. So again, there's pros and cons to buying a used vehicle. And taxes are a little bit different when you are buying a used vehicle. The buyer pays the tax when they register as the new legal owner of the vehicle. You do not pay tax to the seller. The amount of tax is based on the purchase price or the vehicle's wholesale value, whichever is higher. If the vehicle is 20 years old or older, you may require an appraisal. You do not need to pay tax if you are transferring the vehicle to a close family member as a gift, a qualifying diplomat, or status Indian. Bob is selling his old car for $6,800. The vehicle's wholesale value is only $5,000. Determine the total cost of the car with taxes. Okay, so he's selling his car for this. His wholesale value is $5,000. And up here it says the amount of tax is based on the purchase price or the vehicle's wholesale value, whichever is higher. So which of these is higher? Well, the purchase price. So that's the number that the taxes will be based on. So remember, sales tax, HST, is 13%. So we're going to multiply our selling price by 1.13 to see what 13% more is. And it ends up being $7,684. Determine the monthly payment to borrow $7,000 to buy the car at 7.5% compounded monthly for 2 years. So here I have that TVM solver. So how would we fill in the boxes? Well, we're borrowing $7,000, so that goes here in the present value. The interest rate is 7.5%, so we'll write 7.5 here. It's compounded monthly, so make sure this says monthly. For 2 years, so how many months is that? Well, that's 24 months. And we want to calculate the payment, so we're going to click here. And when you do that, you get negative $315 appear in this box. So the monthly payment is $315. Determine the total interest paid on that loan. Well, remember, we're borrowing $7,000. We end up paying more than that. The difference between what we pay and what we borrowed is the interest. So what we pay is all of these monthly payments. We're paying $315 each month for 24 months. So our total monthly payments is $315 times 24. Our amount borrowed is $7,000. So that ends up being $560 in interest. Now, when you eventually do the car assignment, you're going to be doing similar calculations to this, but you'll get more step-by-step instructions in the assignment itself.